What's up, guys? Before I get into these UFC on Fox 27 predictions, I just want to strongly urge everyone to watch this card. I'm afraid it's going to get slept on because it doesn't really appeal to the casual fans in the sense that there's no superstars or really big names on the card. And that's unfortunate because I think throughout the prelims and the main card, there's a lot of great matchups that deserve to be watched. Not to mention it's free. Like, come on, guys, there's free fights. Why would you not watch that? In the past, some of the best events have been the ones that got slept on the most. So I hope that trend continues here. I think it will. And as some of you may know, this event is taking place in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's way too close to home to not go. So I will be attending this event. One more thing before we get started here. I'm going to re-upload my best MMA highlights of 2017 video. So if you guys would go and watch that, I would really appreciate it. It's a cleaner edit than the last one. I'm just all around happier with it. I think the other one was at about 500 views or something like that. So if this one at least gets to 1,000 views, I will be happy with that. I think I put at least 1,000 views worth of effort into it. So if you guys, after you watch this, you can go watch my best MMA highlights of 2017 video. I will put the link in the description, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. Without any further ado, let's get right into these UFC on Fox 27, or if you want to call it UFC Charlotte predictions. With the first matchup on the card, we already have fight of the night potential. We have Drew Dober versus Frank Camacho. Frank is just coming off a fight of the night performance at UFC Fight Night 121 where he beat Damian Brown by split decision, and Drew Dober is just coming off a first round knockout victory over Josh Berkman. One thing I noticed is that these guys usually fight at lightweight, but this fight is at welterweight. But hey, that's fine with me because that just means the hands are going to be heavier. And speaking of that, I definitely think this fight's going to stay on the feet. Both of these guys I would consider knockout artists or at least brawlers. Most of their victories come by knockout or TKO. This fight is going to come down to who hits who more and who has the better cardio. And Frank Camacho, he does have a great chin, but he gets hit way too easily. I think he absorbs around 6 punches per minute. So if Drew Dober is landing 6 big punches on him per minute, being a knockout artist, that could be bad for Frank. I think his chin will hold up, so I'm kind of leaning towards a decision. But in terms of this matchup, I have Drew Dober winning either by knockout or decision. For the next fight, we have Charlotte-born Jordan Rinaldi versus Gregor the Gift Gillespie. I personally think Gregor is probably a future contender in the lightweight division. He's really good, undefeated. He's very Kevin Lee-esque in the sense that he comes from a wrestling background and he's really good at wrestling and grappling, but he's also really strong on the feet too. So unfortunately for the hometown boy, I think Gregor is going to take this one. I just think he's better in every situation. I think he's going to be able to control the tempo on the feet and on the ground. Jordan is really good at submissions, but I don't think he's going to have the strength on the ground to submit Gregor. And actually, I think that Gregor is going to win on the feet and then go to the ground and win by submission like his last fight. Gregor fought Jason Gonzalez, and they had a war on the feet. Gregor hurt Jason, Jason hurt Gregor, but eventually it went to the ground, and Gregor secured an arm triangle choke in the second round. I see this fight going fairly similar to that. Jordan is slightly bigger, but I still think Gregor takes this one, so I'm going to have to say Gregor Gillespie wins by submission in around the second round. In the co-main event, we have Dennis the Menace Bermudez versus Andre Touchy Fili. The original co-main event was supposed to be Ovent St. Preux versus Ilir Latifi, but that fight was scrapped because Ilir had some knee injury or something. But I didn't care about that fight, so I'm not even mad. Well, anyway, Dennis Bermudez is coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. One was a knockout loss against the Korean Zombie, and one was a split decision loss to Darren Elkins. And Andre Fili is coming off of a huge win over Artem Lobov. This fight is probably the hardest for me to predict out of this entire card, just because I feel like Dennis is better than Andre, but he's just been on such a downward slope. I think these guys are kind of neck and neck now. Andre got knocked out by Yair Rodriguez a few fights ago. I personally feel like this fight has split decision written all over it. I want to say that Dennis is going to be the one that wins, but I just feel like if Andre catches him with a head kick like he caught Artem, it might put him out. Dennis's chin hasn't exactly been the best recently, but yet Andre isn't exactly some striking god either, so I think these guys are pretty much neck and neck. But if I had to pick, which I do, I would say that Dennis ends up grinding out a close decision. So my final prediction is Dennis Bermudez by decision. For the main event, we have a rematch between Jacare Souza and Derek Brunson. In the first fight, Derek got knocked out, I think in the first round, pretty easily by Jacare. But this time around, I think that's going to be a different story. Derek is much smarter in his fighting style. He's willing to wait instead of just rushing at his opponent with his chin wide open. And Ronaldo, or Jacare, whatever you want to call him, has recently been knocked out by Robert Whittaker. So I kind of think Derek has surpassed Jacare. If Derek loses this fight, then he's probably going to have a very, very long road to the title. But if he beats Jacare, I feel like he's right on the cusp of a title shot. He's also in his hometown. I just think well, I don't know about hometown, but his home state. He was the one that pushed for this event to happen in North Carolina. So I think with all that motivation and fighting smarter and being in his prime, Derek is going to be able to put out Jacare. I think by knockout. Derek is definitely a knockout artist. He has a huge left hand. So unless Jacare can get him to the ground, I think Derek is going to win by a knockout. I don't know what round, but I have Derek Brunson winning by knockout. That's going to be it for today, guys. Make sure to comment your predictions or your opinions if they differ from mine or whatever. So Stipe's the GOAT, and I will see you next time.